I'm actually surprised you were able to complete your PhD.
I do, it's a wonder.
Conditions.
Yeah, and it's nice you're over it as well.
Yeah.
It's nice you don't think about it anymore.
Yeah, well, I find it's not good to bear grudges.
You're listening to The Cosmic Cast.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the Manchester's Earth and Solar System group, Cosmic Cast. You're here with me, the unbeatably modest Ricci Bahir, the delicious and nutritious Dr. John Pernett Fisher,
Hello.
and the ergonomically robust Tom Harvey.
Cheers.
So yeah, this is the first episode. So I think the best thing we should do is kind of line up what the whole point of the podcast is going to be, what it's going to involve. So I guess the whole point of it really is that we're scientists, but we're scientists with personalities.
Yeah, we do a lot of cool things, and I
Yeah.
think we want to share that with you. So hopefully we'll have some guest speakers over the coming weeks to talk about some of the cool stuff they do. Interspersed with some of the members here from the Earth and Solar System Research Group, also talking about some of the cool research that goes on. So hopefully it should be an educational yet entertaining podcast.
And also, it's good to bear in mind that we've got a whole range of academics, ranging from people who had just started their journey, so starting their PhDs, like Tom over here, all the way to professors who have been doing this for years and have now come to regret doing it. So you'll get a whole range of the type of stuff that is involved. And we all look at different things as well. So, for instance, I am a final year PhD student. I'm into my fourth year. And I study the Martian surface. I'm a Martian geomorphologist, and I study where the rivers on Mars used to be to understand how the surface has changed over time. Whereas Tom, you are?
Yeah, I'm studying meteorites and metals in meteorites. It's still the early stages of the project. It's kind of under the umbrella of the broader Antarctic Meteorites project. So
Something that we will delve into another episode, I'm sure.
Yes, indeed.
yeah.
And Johnny Boy over here.
Yeah. Well, I do a lot of work on the moon, dabble a little bit on Mars. So I guess I'm technically a geochemist, so I like to use chemistry to inform us about how planets work and how volcanoes work specifically.
You are in your second postdoc now.
Yeah, so I suppose I've been doing this for a while now. I finished my PhD in 2012, and this is my second postdoc.
Yeah, I was reminiscing to myself, as I often do, the other day, thinking I've been in Manchester for 8 years now.
Well, the time goes by fast. I mean, I've been here in Manchester now for 5 years, I guess. I mean, it goes.
Yeah. And so, was that your first postdoc in Manchester? Or was that your second postdoc?
No, so I did 2 years in America after my PhD, because I thought it was quite cool the fact that once you got a PhD, I knew I wanted to carry on doing research, and so you could effectively look at jobs across the world, and I thought that was quite neat. So I ended up in America for 2 years. But I was glad to come home, and then managed to wangle my way into Manchester as well.
And so you have a girlfriend, right?
Yes.
And was she on the journey when you were in America?
Yeah, so she was also out in America doing a postdoc as well. She was also a
Did you meet
researcher.
over there?
No, we did our PhD together.
Oh, wow. So that worked out really well that you both managed to...
Yeah, so I guess that was part of the reason for going to America as well, I suppose. But
I mean, when you first postdoc, so I'm applying for research fellowships and postdocs at the moment. And originally the idea of going to America was quite scary in the sense of, well, obviously it's a completely different place you've never been to before. You won't know anyone. But
I thought that was quite exciting.
Yeah, but that's because you've got a positive mindset. Whereas, me.
Not everybody's blessed with one of those jobs.
Yeah. Well, actually, on the subject of America, you are from America, aren't you, Tom?
No.
You were born and raised in America.
No. We've lived there a long while, my family, but no.
Well, you were grown in a shrubbery garden in America, weren't you?
That is correct. Yeah. Wrangle and rattle.
So, wait, how old were you when you moved to America?
7.
Oh, yeah. So you spent most of your life.
We lived in Perth for 4 years, kind of in the middle as well, in Australia. But yeah, other than that.
Ah, fair enough. And then you went to Texas, am I right?
We went to Texas.
Yes, yeah.
No, it's great. I mean, Texas is great because they've got the Johnson Space Center, which is like pretty cool if you like Saturn V rockets. And
But more importantly, they got some very good barbecue.
that is also
That's a good
very
point.
important.
You can't find barbecue, or at least I've not found any in this country, that as good as barbecue you can get in America.
There are a lot of Americans that aren't Texans that would disagree with you on that front, but
I also like the fact we were discussing how they have an amazing like space industry type situation.
That's where I
over
was
there.
going.
And then we went, oh yeah, but they've also got barbecue. over
Nah, it's
there.
all about grilling some meats, isn't it?
Geologists have feelings, okay, and barbecue is very near and dear to my heart.
That's true. That is true. And then you came over to England to do
My
for
undergraduate.
Your undergraduate, okay. Yeah.
I did my undergraduate in geology at Royal Holloway,
Mm-hmm.
and then I did my master's in geoscience at UCL, and now I'm here.
So was America never an option for you in your mind?
No, not really.
university?
I always wanted to come back.
Yeah.
So it kind of made sense.
I guess it would have worked out a lot more expensive if you stayed over there as well.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. We're going to a conference in America soon, aren't we? Actually,
We
on
are
the board.
indeed, in fact,
Yeah.
in just over a month's time. In fact,
Yeah.
or is it under a month? What's the date? Yeah, under a month, in fact.
Don't break the fourth wall. Don't let the listeners know when we've recorded.
But that's very exciting. It's the premier planetary science conference of the season. So it's normally where a lot of new results get aired out for the
just
first
give it a
time.
shout out. The
It's
50th,
the 50th Lunar and Planetary Science Conference, or LPSC, as we like to call it around here.
Yeah, the ones in the know-how call it.
But yeah, no, it started off as a sort of a meeting of minds following the Apollo missions. Of course, 2019 being 50 years since Apollo 11 touched down. So it sort of started off as a small meeting about the moon and ended up as this massive planetary science conference where all manner of results will get presented. So I imagine we'll hear a lot more about, for instance, some of the latest results from New Horizons. There'll be a lot of special sessions about Apollo at 50 as well, which will be really exciting.
Yeah.
So two of us, me and Ricci, we're both going.
Yeah, unfortunately, Tom couldn't come this year, but he's only
not.
He's only a
Sad
wee
times.
babby at the moment.
That's true.
So
But yeah, we're both presenting work, and hopefully we'll be presenting to you guys some of the cool posters and some of the cool research and meet some interesting people. So stay tuned on our YouTube channel for some content about that, hopefully.
yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it because I've been once before. And it's just it's so much going on there, and you learn so much, and it's just really enjoyable as well.
It's the best conference I've ever been to because it's just the right size. Some of the larger conferences can get up to like tens of thousands of people, and that's like just a bit too. Maybe not 10. How many people go to Goldschmidt? Maybe 5,000 people.
Sorry, that's
a lot of people.
DJ Elliot there speaking. He's our resident mixographer. He's controlling the mics.
He is indeed, but he's also
A valued member of the
a
group.
member of our community.
Yeah. So LPSC is very.
It's a good size.
Yeah.
Like, there's probably no more than 1,000 people go. Maybe a bit more, and it's a good size that you can still have good conversations with people, and it's not too overwhelming with stuff to do.
It's surprisingly competitive though to get a talk there. Well, not surprising, because there's so many people.
Yeah.
But somehow I've snagged two of them in 2 years.
That's right, you did indeed.
I have. And I've had a recent problem though, because I was walking down the road to work the other day, and someone just shouted across the road to me. They went, "How?" And I just ignored it. I carried on walking. And I walked into the building, and some random undergraduate came up to me and went, "Sorry, can I just ask you how?" And I just ignored it. And then I kept on getting emails of just saying how. And then I came to realize, because I bumped into a professor here, and he said, "Oh, they're probably asking, how did you get another talk at LPSC?"
It's the question we've all been asking.
It's amazing that you managed to stay so modest throughout all this, to be honest.
I know. I did give the tagline that I am unbeatably modest.
I mean, what amazes me all the more is that you managed to kind of maintain that all of this work that you're doing is, so well done when Mars doesn't, as everybody knows, doesn't exist. So yeah, that's great.
Well, that's all part of it, though. People are intrigued how I come up with all these results when the planet I'm studying doesn't exist.
Fundamentally,
Yeah. So you must be excited, though, Tom, about things that don't exist. Originally, you didn't have a data set to work with, but now that the people have come back from Antarctica with meteorites, so what are your plans with those? I guess I'm asking you, what's your PhD about?
A large part of the project, now that there's meteorites to be returned from Antarctica, is that they have to be kind of correctly looked after once they get back. They're all still at very low temperature, so they need to be defrosted in a way that isn't going to ruin the samples and everything.
Exciting thing actually about meteorite hunting is that you never know what you're going to get. You might get something that's incredibly rare, and then there's a nature paper straight away. So
good point. I think that's from Forrest Gump, isn't it? Life is like meteorite hunting. You don't know what you're going to get.
That's right. To paraphrase. And then something about shrimp.
And then there's a nature paper coming out of it. Yeah.
It's mad I don't remember that bit.
Been meaning to rewatch Forrest Gump, actually. I've not seen that in a few years. I do like old Tom Hanks.
So, John, when you went over to America in 2013, what was the opportunity that was available to you?
Well, it was a project that was listed. It was a very open-ended description for the project. It literally just said something like, we've got an opening for a postdoc to come and work on NASA samples to do major and trace element chemistry to understand the petrology of lunar samples. And it was very generic.
Yeah.
And at the time, I wasn't necessarily thinking about planetary projects. I did my PhD on Iceland.
Oh, okay.
So I'd always considered myself a terrestrial geologist, and I wasn't even considering planetary stuff. And then when I read this description, I thought, well, you know what? I mean, I can do this for terrestrial basalts. Why can't I do this for lunar? It can't be that different, surely.
Yeah.
So I just punted in a really rough application. And it was just after I remember I'd had another 2 applications for other projects that I really was interested in, just rejected. And I was really annoyed. And I was like, bugger it, I'll just bob it in and see what happens. And the guy just, he emailed me back and said, oh, that sounds quite good. Yeah, come on over.
Oh, grand.
And in a true American style, there wasn't a formal interview process or anything. It was just a bit of a Skype conversation to see like what I was like and make sure I wasn't a nutter. And he was like, yeah, very good. Come and join us.
So was that transition difficult at all? Like switching from terrestrial? What are the changes that you had to make to the way you were thinking?
None. And in fact, actually, I'd say it was quite a good perspective to bring a sort of a terrestrial background, because a lot of the people I was interacting with hadn't done any terrestrial geology for years, maybe. And so to have a bit more of a fresh perspective, I think really helped. I mean, a lot of the processes fundamentally are the same. It's just slightly different operating conditions. So I found it very useful, actually, having a terrestrial background coming into planetary science.
Which institution was this?
That was at the University of Tennessee, with a guy called Larry Taylor.
Yes, yeah.
He was a cool guy. He had a lot of experience.
Isn't it?
Yeah, he was an older guy. Unfortunately, he passed away a few years ago now. But he was one of the backroom geologists during Apollo 17, advising astronauts where to go and what bits to pick up and stuff.
Wow, so genuinely a legend.
It was a hell of an opportunity, and I just remember there on the first week I got there just thinking, what am I doing here? So yeah, it was a really cool experience. It was a very intense 2 years I spent there, but I learned so much about planetary science. It was fantastic. So I certainly...
Before that you were at Royal Holloway, right?
I was also at
Royal Holloway. So that's quite a big jump.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was cool. It was really exciting. It's just.
So, what made you think, okay, I'm done with America? Then I'm going to look for jobs in England again? Or
well, partially tax reasons.
Okay,
so
that's fair enough.
Genuinely, the post was for only 2 years.
Yeah.
And you are tax exempt as a UK national in America, so you don't actually have to pay any tax for 2 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But if you stay over the 2 year limit, then you've got to back pay all that tax back. And I didn't really want to pay all that back.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd better go home.
That's fair enough. I mean, that's clever thinking ahead like that. Yeah.
But also, I was genuinely missing warm, flat beer.
Yeah.
While American beer is very nice, I was just jonesing for a nice pint of Fuller's or something like that.
I think this is also the part where you're supposed to say something along the lines of, and Manchester was offering an amazing postdoctoral
Well, there was a bit of a
position.
hiatus, actually. So I didn't... I had a bit of an unemployment gap, I suppose, for about 4 or 5 months. Well, I only started to look for jobs again when I got back to the UK.
Was that crushing? I mean, because it's inevitable. It's an inevitability for anyone who's getting in academia. You're going to have an area where you're not doing anything.
Yeah. Well, I had papers still to write, and so I kept myself busy still trying to do stuff. And, it's normal to apply many, many times to find something. I mean, you've usually got... I think on average, I've applied for about 15 to 20 positions before getting something. I mean, so I guess this is something you will be thinking about at some point soon, Ricky.
Well, I've applied for 5 positions at the moment.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the inevitability is I'm not going to get most of them, and if I'm lucky, I'll get one of them.
Yeah. I think the buzzword is perseverance. You've just got to know that you want to do something and just keep plugging at it.
I went to I was actually up at an event yesterday, which was on how to write a fellowship application. Really good, actually. It was very interesting to hear all the buzzwords and stuff you should use when writing it. But something that was really interesting that kept cropping up was the point that it's not always about how good your application is or even who you are. It's just perseverance. You've just got to keep on applying.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So, I would say to anyone out there who is applying for positions at the moment, really do not put all your eggs in one basket.
No, and also don't get too disappointed with a rejection too, because it's going to happen sooner or later, and you've just basically got to believe in what you enjoy doing and just keep going at it, I suppose. So
you were in your job in America when you applied for 3 positions then, was it, back in the UK? Or did you
no, well, prior to going to America, I'd applied for about 10 or 15.
Oh,
I'd
wow.
gotten shortlisted and called to interview for 2 projects, and obviously I didn't make the final cut for those. And I remember, I remember distinctly, I was in a Wetherspoons in Bristol, the commercial rooms, having a spoons dinner. Really pissed off because those posts got rejected. And the very next day, I found this post in Tennessee. So it was, it's funny how these things work.
How long was the turnaround between you finding the post and you actually getting the position then?
It was really rapid. It was only a few months. So it was before, because I'd submitted my PhD in September. I'd had this offer in late November. My Viva was in December. So basically I had Christmas to finish all my corrections for my PhD and get that all done, and I started in January.
That's incredible.
It was a very fast turnaround.
So it worked out really well, though. I mean,
I was very lucky.
So you said 10 to 15 rejections, did you say? And that's gone.
Well, I say rejections. I mean, most of the time you don't really even hear back.
Exactly.
I mean,
yeah, you don't hear anything. Yeah. Thanks for saying that, because I'm currently waiting to hear back from someone. They said mid-February, and now it's later than mid-February.
I'm sure you'll hear nothing anytime soon.
From any
time.
Yeah.
But I mean, you've still got a few months left on your PhD, so you should be fine. The fact that you've already started looking for things now, that's the one big bit of advice. If it's never too early to start looking for things.
Yeah. I mean, it might be a little bit too early for me to start looking for things.
No, but you can start networking, I guess, and start buttering people up, so to speak.
So did you apply for PhDs anywhere else, Tom, or was it just
no, I applied to a couple of places. I applied to a project about palasites in Leeds.
What's a palasite?
It's a type of stony iron meteorite, which I'd always been very interested in.
It's not just a type of stony iron meteorite. They're very cool.
They are very, very cool, very beautiful. I highly recommend a Google if you don't know what they look like already. They're kind of like natural stained glass windows.
Are they the ones that form in the mantle core boundary area?
That's right. Yeah.
Supposedly, yeah.
Wow, I know things.
Nice.
Yeah,
that was nice. That was good. Thank you. Yeah. I also applied to a project at Cambridge, and I was going to apply to a project at the OU, but I got this one, and I like this one so much that.
Was that a mix of terrestrial and planetary?
No, across the whole, it was all planetary. It was all meteorites, and this one was by far the most interesting sounding. Yeah. So I was very happy to get to do this.
That's good.
Very exciting.
Yeah. I mean, I wish you'd just accepted somewhere else, but that's fine. You sit in my office, bullying me all day, and it's fine.
I provide a service.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, that was on your PhD application.
Please bully Ricky for 6 months. Yeah,
which is fair enough. That's fine.
So, Ricky, how are you finding writing up?
It's I'm one of those people where I worry more about what I hear other people saying than I do myself. So, for instance, I think it's going fine, and my supervisors think it's going fine. They see what I do, and they don't disturb me after that meeting we have. So I assume they think everything's going fine. But then you see other people, and you go, "Oh, how's your writing up going?" Who are in a similar position to you, and they're all going, "Oh, it's crazy. Don't even ask me about it." And you're like, Should I be feeling a similar way to that?
Yeah, I know what you mean, but I think if you think you're doing a good enough job, I mean...
But I'm heavily deluded. So.
Are you doing your thesis by publication?
Yes, by papers. So, for people who don't know, there's 2 methods of doing it, at Manchester at least, where you can...
It's becoming more common now, I think, across the country in general.
Well, I think it makes more sense. So you can either do just a large thesis, which is like a big book on everything you've done, or you can do it by papers. So you write 4 papers or so,
bind them together, stick an intro on it, and Bob's your uncle.
Exactly. And there you've got your thesis. And the paper one makes more sense really because, as I said earlier, the whole point of being an academic is really getting papers published.
Yeah, it makes you more competitive at the long run, I think.
Yeah.
So that makes your job writing up a bit easier, because presumably then you have a bunch of papers already in the bag. So all the hard work is done in a way. Unlike writing up longhand, which is what I did during my PhD, you end up in the last 6 months having to write the equivalent of 4 papers in a very short amount of time. So that's I think where it can get quite stressful.
Yeah, I can't imagine doing that. You're making me feel stressed thinking about having to do that.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, it was, do you know, in a weird way, I kind of enjoyed writing up. We were in a special little office, and we just worked quite late, but it was quite cozy, really. Sort of typing away, had some videos on in the background, ordered some curries in. It was good.
How do you? So were you living with your girlfriend at the time when you were doing your PhD?
Yeah. Well, we were in a shared house with a bunch of other people as well, actually, with a good friend of mine.
I guess she was doing a PhD at the same time.
Yeah, so we were actually both in the writing up office together with another guy.
Oh, that's great then.
So that was really. So it was just 3 of us that were just like working till like 3 a.m. or whatever. And it was 2012, and so it was also Olympic time. So for those,
so you were training for that as well.
Well, there were a lot of Olympic athletes. So Royal Holloway is very close to where a lot of the rowing and other water-based stuff happens. You can tell I'm not an athlete. But they were using Holloway or the dorms there as lodgings for all the Olympic athletes, and so the whole campus was on shutdown. And sort of the upper half of campus, where most of the academic buildings were sort of generally fine, but the geology building happened to be near where all the residences were, and so we were basically fenced off. And I don't know if you remember, but at the time there was a lack of security, so they even had to draft the army in to help ensure it was all like safe and there weren't people running around and stuff. And so we were just walking out at like really weird times of day. And these people were just looking at us thinking, like, what the hell are these people doing leaving the building at 3 a.m? And the most annoying thing about all of this is that because of the way all the roads were shut off and stuff, I had to walk a few hundred yards down the road in order to pick up pizzas. Like, they could no longer come to the front door of the department, and that was pretty upsetting.
I mean, that's outrageous.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I'm actually surprised you were able to complete your PhD.
I know, it's a wonder.
Conditions.
Yeah, and it's nice you're over it as well. Yeah. It's nice you don't think about it anymore.
Yeah, well, I find it's not good to bear grudges.
How far do you have to walk to pick up your pizzas now?
Oh, well, they offer an outdoor service now. So that's
amazing.
Actually,
back then in 2012,
that's the sort
they
of thing I can look forward to.
The least movement is the best, I find, really. I mean, there's presumably you enjoy Jimmy John's in America, the sub place, because they do an at-seat service. I used to get them all the time in Tennessee, and they would literally bring you your sandwich to your desk. They would just walk into the office and say, "Yep, just there, please."
That's insane.
And they put it on your desk.
You're just working in the lab, and someone just walks in with a pizza and just gives you.
All right, well, I guess we'd better wrap up here. Thank you all very much for listening, everybody. We hope to stick this not only on YouTube, but also on SoundCloud and whatever the Apple equivalent is. I'm not an Apple user.
There's this, and then hopefully we've got another couple of exciting episodes for you all to listen to and hopefully enjoy, as you have hopefully enjoyed this one. So,
so thank you everyone for listening.
Yeah, thank you all very much.
And we'll see you next week.
Yeah.